What's next?
He also attempted to downplay Mr. Combs' groping of Mr. Jones' anus and genitals as friendly horseplay, stating that those acts were Mr. Combs' way of showing that he likes you. If you're wondering who the plaintiff is in this case, his name is Rodney Jones, otherwise known as Lil Rod. He's considered a musical prodigy. His talents have led him to produce and create a commercial marketplace for music that has been recorded by some of the most prestigious and highly acclaimed artists in the music industry. And then here's an album. By the way, he's actually demanding $30 million as a result of all this, emotional distress, abuse, humiliation, and lack of payments that he received from working with Diddy. One of his albums is the Love album, Off the Grid. I guess he played a major role in producing it and still was not compensated. So it's always ironic to me how some of these allegations always come out amidst some type of monetary issues that are going on between the plaintiff and the defendant into not paying the appropriate funds or agreed funds that they were supposed to receive. I mean, this reminds me of the whole McMahon situation, which I'll also do a video on, where one of the ladies that he was sleeping with left and right, they had a deal for $3 million and he only paid her $1 million and never proceeded to pay the rest, which then motivated the plaintiff in the Vince McMahon case to file a lawsuit. And this is just summarizing what happened, like more in details in terms of the role that he played on the album, producing 9 songs. He resided at Mr. Combs' home in Los Angeles, California, New York City. Mr. Jones witnessed, experienced, and endured many things that went far beyond his role as producer on the Love album. And this is an understatement, because we have allegations of attempted murder, illegal guns being displayed, sexual assaults. It is unbelievable. Like, this is also the other part I was referring to, where Mr. Jones felt that she wasn't taking her own advice. Her hypocrisy is breathtaking at best or enabling at worst. Why? Because these assurances on several occasions when Mr. Combs began to undress and walk around his house naked, KK would say, "Okay, I am leaving now," and she would disappear. The woman being referenced in the document is Christina Coram. She is noted as being Diddy's chief of staff. Due to the nature of Diddy's sexual trafficking charges, many have drawn comparisons between her and Ghislaine Maxwell, the widow of now deceased billionaire Jeffrey Epstein. Both were found guilty of similar charges. With all the speculation and allegations surrounding Diddy, naturally, many wondered how is it that he was able to evade law enforcement for so long? Yeah, so apparently this is a guy who was helping P. Diddy kind of navigate through his legal woes with law enforcement. He's the guy who staff members were instructed to contact whenever they were pulled over, whenever they had any trouble with the police. They were to contact him, and he would use his influence, resources, and connections to basically get him off the hook. And apparently he also he was the guy who played a part in covering the incident where Mr. G, the guy named Mr. G, was shot in the restroom. According to the court document, it states that the LAPD actually went there to the studio or whatnot, and they seen the blood in the restroom, so they were able to understand that the shooting did actually take place in the restroom. If somebody shot outside of the studio, there should be evidence reflecting that, but that wasn't the case. But because of this individual's connections, whatever the witnesses claimed is what was believed, and the LAPD took it and ran with it. You asked me, I'm pretty certain Diddy was probably bribing some of these people. Many of you might know about the Shine incident. In case you don't, in 1999, Shine, a rapper formerly known as Jamal Barrow, was involved in a highly publicized nightclub shooting incident at Club New York in Manhattan. The altercation reportedly involved Shine, Sean Diddy Combs, and their entourage. During the altercation, gunfire erupted, resulting in 3 people being injured. Shine was subsequently arrested and charged with attempted murder, assault, and reckless endangerment. He was convicted in 2001 and sentenced to 10 years in prison. The incident and its aftermath had significant repercussions for Shine's career, as well as for Sean Combs. Diddy was charged with multiple offenses, including illegal gun possession and bribery. He was accused of attempting to bribe his driver to take responsibility for the gun found at the scene. However, Diddy was acquitted of all charges related to the shooting in 2001. This is where Jennifer Lopez is mentioned. And it is alleged that Jennifer Lopez was actually the individual who brought the guns into the club. After the shooting, one of the 3 gunshot victims that night, a woman by the name of Natanya Rubin, further alleged that rather than Jamal Shine Barrow, Diddy was actually the gunman.
Yeah, and you have said since really right after the shooting that it was P. Diddy who shot you. I mean, I think you even said it to the doctor that night, right?
I said it immediately. I literally watched them pull out the guns. I've had a clear point of view. I mean, for God's sake, I got shot in my nose. I was facing them directly. I watched everything occur and have described it, vehemently to all parties involved.
Despite her testimony, the case will be settled out of court, where she was awarded $1.8 million in damages. But it doesn't stop there. A bombshell after bombshell. Diddy the Fiddler is also alleged to have organized a little ring of staff members who would then who were given the task of recruiting other sex workers. And they would go out trying to recruit these strippers and sex workers, and that the hat itself was a symbol that Mr. Fiddler was in town. Alright, so we have sex workers that Mr. Combs forced Mr. Jones to bring back to his home. And by the way, this does include minors as well. There's actually pictures of him kissing minors, and later that evening he required Mr. Jones to solicit sex workers from Booby Trap. You also have Young Miami, this girl, who's being accused of participating in this charade. And her cousin, this girl right here, was sent left and right by P. Diddy to sexually assault Mr. Jones. In fact, there's a portion here where it states he was in a restroom. Yeah, right here. While using the restroom, Young Miami's cousin burst into the bathroom and began groping Mr. Jones. Mr. Jones believed that Mr. Combs, sent her in to sexually assault Mr. Jones. As she entered the bathroom, she dropped to her knees and began performing oral sex on Mr. Jones' exposed penis. Mr. Jones pushed her away and exited the bathroom. Young Miami's cousin did not accept Mr. Jones' rejection, as she proceeded to follow Mr. Jones out of the bathroom. She started undressing and attempted to straddle him and have sex with him in the presence of Mr. Combs and his staff. Now, while these allegations may be difficult to grasp, a tweet posted by Young Miami in a confrontation with another female named Gina Hyun, a former paramour of Diddy, suggests that there may actually be a bit of truth to Mr. Jones' claim. While Young Miami was engaged in a verbal dispute with Gina, she made disparaging remarks towards her, stating that, well, you can read the second tweet for yourself. However, the issue here is that she indirectly insinuates that if she had a desire to sleep with Gina, Diddy had the capacity and influence to have it come to fruition. She furthermore alleges that Gina amounted to nothing more than a sexual toy to be used at Diddy's whim and leisure during his sexual escapades. I wouldn't at all be surprised if these tweets were mentioned in court, since they further give credence to the allegations being made against Diddy, and that he's a successful and powerful man with the power to coerce others into engaging in sexual activities. But let's go back to Mr. Jones. Throughout this, it speaks about how he did not want to continue doing this, but was forced to do so, and was afraid that if he did not, there would be violent consequences. These are just some of the ways that he was using his influence. He offered him $250,000 to purchase all the instruments he wanted. He promised them ownership of his $20 million property, One Star Island in Miami, Florida. He promised access to record label executives like defendants Lucy and Charles Grange, and the lady named Ethiopia Hapter Mariam. Mr. Combs would often switch up his approach. He would go from promising Mr. Jones the world to threatening Mr. Jones with physical harm. Mr. Combs threatened to eat Mr. Jones' face and informed Mr. Jones that he's willing to kill his mother, Janice Combs, if he must, in order to get what he wants, so he wouldn't think twice to harm Mr. Jones. After witnessing allegedly him shooting, him or his son shooting Mr. G in the restroom, making it all go away, I mean, you can imagine how somebody would be terrified. And again, we're not talking about somebody who's in the street life, whatever. He's just an average Joe, a producer, just a regular guy. So I mean, it's crazy.